How's it going, guys? Back with this week's garage sales. This is week number 2 this spring, where a lot of garage sales have started in my area. And I was lucky this week. I chose an area where not a lot of people went to. I went out this morning like at 7:30, and for the first probably hour, I think I may have been one or two people driving around going to garage sales. Uh, there's garage sales set all over the city, and I think I was lucky to choose an area where not a lot of people were going to. I think the first 10 sales I stopped at, I found stuff at like half of them. And then of the first 5 stops, 3 places had vintage Nintendo stuff. So to show you guys what I picked up, and I also found some watches, some really good watches actually. First stop, and not a lot of stuff there. I happened to see this up by the garage, and whole box $10, and inside is some really dirty electronics, but there's some Nintendo stuff in here. So Super Nintendo, really dirty. There are some controllers in there, and then also a GameCube. So it looks like all the hookups, power cords, there's some controllers. I asked them if they had any games, and they said they didn't. Apparently all this stuff belonged to a relative that passed away, and they had no idea where the games were. So finding that, and I think the third garage sale I stopped at, a younger family, and about ready to walk away, and underneath the table I spotted this. So have another pretty dirty original Nintendo NES, yellowing, $20 for all of it, and then it had these games. So Mega Man 2, probably the best game, most valuable, is probably Totally Rad. I think that's like a $30 or $40 game. Mega Man 2 is probably another $30 game. So that's a lot of games that came with it. And then the sale right after that, an original Game Boy. And the battery compartment on that is pretty nice. It's not corroded, and Tetris is inside. So then a couple other sales I stopped at, found an original Stormtrooper from 1977. Asked if they had any other old toys, and they said this is the only thing they had. And then I went through a box of miscellaneous Matchbox cars from the 80s, and I found a Redline Hot Wheel, the van, and it's in a pretty nice cosmetic condition. A lot of times you see these and all the paint's all chipped off and the flames are gone, but that's fairly nice. And then also this Tyco slot car, and those were only 50 cents a piece. Great find there. And then I'll show you guys the watches. Found some really cool watches this week, as well as a little bit of gold. Found a 10 karat and a 14 karat gold bracelet. The total weight on those is a little under 4 grams. It's like $170 or so in scrap on that. Found a couple old Zippo lighters, the date code based on the patent date and the lettering. See, it's the block lettering. These date from 1937 to 1950. Great old lighters there. Those are only $3 a piece, and I think those are probably worth between 50 and 100 each. So that was a great find there. Then found these watches. These are a little bit kind of newer than the ones I typically look for. These came from a moving sale. Guy's a little bit younger, and is probably mid-40s. Asked him if he had any watches, and he said he did. He came out with these. He said he had no attachments anymore. He said he doesn't really wear watches, and he was fine to get rid of them. Asked him what he wanted to sell them for, and he said, how about $10 a piece? So outstanding deal on these watches. I think they date from probably the mid-90s up until the early 2000s. And he did tell me this was fake, which I knew it was right when I picked it up. He said he actually got this in China. So this fake Rolex Submariner, and like it is running, but he threw that in for free. So one of the watches is this Tissot chronograph. And I thought it was running. So Tissot chronograph. He was surprised the battery still worked on some of these because he had not worn a lot of these watches in a number of years. So have this Tissot chronograph watch, this Seiko chronograph, and this watch is also running. A little bit larger watch than something I'd probably wear. So have the Seiko there, and then he has a couple these Seiko Kinetic watches. They will run for 5 to 10 minutes and they stop. These have capacitors in them, and they last like I think 10 to 15 years. So these watches are well past the capacitor life on these. I've never changed a capacitor battery in one of these watches. I did look up a YouTube video. They don't look like they're too terribly hard. Looks like you'd have to remove the rotor there to fully get the capacitor out, but it's basically just taking some screws off. So that shouldn't be too hard. The only bad thing about the capacitors, it's like a trade-off. The capacitors last longer than a battery would by maybe 2 to 3 times, but the capacitors cost probably 4 or 5 times what a battery would cost. So kind of a trade-off. What's better, a battery or one of these capacitor watches? These do have some collector value, and especially when they're in nice cosmetic condition, and it looks like these aren't worn very much. So nice Kinetic there, and then he also has this other Kinetic watch by Seiko. This has like a rubber strap. And then I was wearing this watch today, this 300 meter Citizen Eco Drive dive watch, diver, with the orange rubber strap. So again, $10 for those watches each. Outstanding find there. And then this only found watches at one sale, and this was probably in the first 15 sales or so today. $3 bag of watches, probably a multi-generational watch bag. So probably from the people I bought this from were in their probably 50s, so there's probably some of their parents' watches mixed in here. Again, $3 for this group of watches. Let's see if I can open this up with one hand here. So have this Citizen chronograph, probably from the early 90s, really nice cosmetic condition on that, and it also still has the hologram on the back. So this watch may have only been worn a couple times. That was in there. I'll just highlight the better watches. So this Accutron quartz, and this date code on this is from 1982. So not the true Accutron with the tuning fork, it's the Accutron quartz. And these are just some fashion watches. There's an old Bulova in here, I think. So yeah, this Bulova here. And this will run a few seconds and stop. It's just gold filled. And then the best watch I saw right away when I picked up the bag was this Hamilton Khaki military watch, and it's a Marine watch. So I'll show a screenshot on some of the stuff, and there's only been a couple of these for sale. Only one have sold I've seen, and there's a couple other of these, but they're in Japan. So outstanding find, that whole bag for $3. Amazing deal. Again, I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.